Alrighty, hey everyone, welcome back, and thank you so much for coming in at this late of an hour. I was out shopping with my wife, didn't get home until 9:30, then scrambled down here to get research done for tonight's show and talk about everything that happened today. So today was a fabulous day. Obviously, Bitcoin bounced off 60,000 basically. Miners also bounced quite nicely here. Was it a bounce going forward where we're going to go into possibly new all-time highs in Bitcoin later on this year? Or is it one of those dead cat bounces? That is a good question. A lot of people are thinking both ways right now in the community and on X and everything else. You got strong arguments for one side, you got strong arguments for the other side as well. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think anybody else really knows what's going to happen here. But based on just what we're seeing, how the cycle has played out so far, some of the metrics that we're seeing as well, I think we might have, hit the bottom possibly. Time will only tell if that's the case. We'll find out in due course nonetheless, though. But we got obviously talk about what happened to with Bitcoin, the miners as well. We'll also take a look at a story from Bitfarms. They are re-domiciling in the United States and changing their name. We'll talk about that. And then we also have news from Terawulf, and then some good news stories on Bitcoin, adoption, all those things here as well. And then we'll get into Q&A here. So again, thank you so much for coming in. But we got to go through this. Full disclosure, as you guys know, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at what happened today with Bitcoin. Bitcoin had, like I said, had a massive bounce today, back up. It was just completely way oversold yesterday. Yesterday, obviously, we were down quite a bit. We were down almost 14%. Today, we were up 12.3%. We were at, like, one point, we were at 14% back up here as well. So that looked really good. Was the forced selling and liquidation and everything else, was that the reason for everything? Possibly, right? What caused it? I don't know. I mean, but it just seemed like it was a coordinated attempt to bring Bitcoin down along with other stocks as well, software stocks, AI stocks. I mean, it seemed like looked like it was coordinated, to me at least. What does that mean? Well, it could be manipulation, could be people in the know or whatnot. It could be banks also trying to get into Bitcoin as well with the Clarity Act coming up here that's going to be voted on later on, maybe this month or next month. We don't know exactly when that's going to get voted on, but are they trying to bring this stuff down so they can get in at a much lower price point? Yeah, I think that's the case. Could we go down even more from here? Possible. I think the possibility of that is much lower now based on where the RSI is, not only on the daily, on the weekly for Bitcoin here. But never say never, I guess, right? So we'll see how that goes forward. Today was a great day. We had a nice bounce in Bitcoin, miners as well. Dow Jones today hit a new all-time high, which is just nuts. I mean, everything else was going down this past couple of weeks here, a couple of weeks, and even this past week. But yet Dow Jones was kind of flat, bouncing back and forth here, and actually finished out a new high here of 50,115 today. I got to a high of 50,169.65 here. Trump also said today that by the end of his term, he expects the Dow Jones to be double from where it's at right now. So basically 100,000 on that one. Go figure. That would be a miracle. I think that'd be great. Could there be some concerns with that? Possibly. I don't want to think about those right now. It's Friday. We had a great day. I'm not thinking about those things right now. Let's see here. Nasdaq also was up today as well, 2.18%. S&P was up also 1.97. Russell was up 3.59. So everything kind of bounced today. That's why I said it looked like a coordinated effort to bring everything down here over the last 2 weeks or so, especially recently here on some of these indices. Ethereum also, great day today, bounced nicely here. It was up 13.1% here. Bitfarms, huge bounce today, 25.51%. Basically gained all of the losses from yesterday and some of the losses from Wednesday as well. So that was a nice day to see that in Bitfarms. I did go buying today. I did buy Bitfarms 350 shares, I believe it was. I also bought Cypher 100 shares, and I also bought Cleanspark shares, 95 shares there as well. So I did buy in a little bit at I wouldn't say I was at the bottom. It was more like the middle before they went up even a little bit higher here. So I didn't catch the bottom, but I did get close to it. But yeah, I just saw things being way oversold in this. If I had more cash, I probably would have been bought into IREN more. But IREN, I have such a low price point on it. My average is so low that me buying, 50 shares or 20 shares right now of what I could afford is not going to change that much for me going forward. So I'm holding on to that, obviously. But Bitfarms did great today. BitDeer also did really good, 14.4% there, wiping out all the losses from yesterday and actually ended up in the green here over the last 2 days. Kango was down 0.24%. This one continues to slide there. Cypher was up 15.98%, also regaining a lot of those losses. Cleanspark was up 21.96%. Same thing for that one. CORZ was up 13.47%. Hive was up 15.92%. Hut 8 was up 19.29 as well. IREN only up 5.13%. IREN it's like a head scratcher for me right now. Obviously, we didn't have a stellar earnings report, but it was still really good. We got 1.6 gigawatts added in Oklahoma. That, for whatever reason, just like blew over everybody's heads. Like, yeah, whatever. They got megawatts. No, not a big deal. It is a big deal. They're going to have megawatts going into 2028 there. So they're continuing to build out more and more megawatts into the future there. They're progressing also with Microsoft, right? They're in discussions with, what do they say? $1 trillion? Did they say $1 trillion companies? I think they said that. $1 trillion companies for compute, for AI basically, for data centers, and also with other companies that are looking for air-cooled facilities, which they can quickly retrofit as well. So there's a lot of good things happening for IREN, so I was surprised by that one. IREN was also mentioned on the broadcast, on the, what was it? Geez, the cable broadcast as well. I think it was Fox or CNBC, one of those was mentioned on there. Mara also had a nice bounce today, very, very nice bounce, 22.44% on that one. Riot was up 19.82%, and great bounce there. Wolf was up also 19.88%. So the only one that didn't do as well as the others was IREN for some reason, but IREN has also done pretty well here compared to them. But eventually I think it's going to catch up here. We also, I think we'll talk about it here, but I'm not going to spoil it. We do have a price target update for them as well. And then we got MicroStrategy being up 26% today. Massive bounce on that one. Galaxy also had its massive bounce, 17% there. Block was only up 4.85%. Coin was up 13%. Was it MetaPlanet? Yeah, MetaPlanet was down 5.56%. This thing just continues to go down here. Next one was up 12%. Oh, sorry, Axis was down up 12%. Next one was up just a little bit, 0.08% there. Game was up a little bit as well, and Phoenix was down 16%. Small miners here. Any was down 2.82%, continuing to go down. Argo was up 10%, Digi was up 8%, DMG was up 14%, Mawson was up 22%, Canon was up 17%, BitQ was up 14%. These are the ETFs for the miners. BKCH was up 15%, DAP was up 16%, DGHI was up 14.75% roughly. Ethereum holding companies were up huge as well. BTCS was the only one that was up a little bit, 1.76%. Everybody else was above 10 or double digits there. Other companies that we track here, American Bitcoin was up 14%. Wi-Fi was up almost 30% today. Right, so what do you count for all these gains here? And today, was it just overselling on the participants there? I think that was possibly the case. It was just, I still think it's manipulation in the markets to bring these things down. And then obviously we got a big bounce today. Open was up just a little bit, 3.83%. Oracle was up 4.65%. Nibius was up 16.56%. Solana was up 34%. Holy cow. That one did really great there. Backed was up 20%. Est was up with 20% as well. Fermi was up 11.11%. And then strangely enough, we had Meta, Google, and Amazon being both down here. Amazon being down the most, 5.5%. So this thing has dropped quite a bit here. How much has this thing dropped in the last, let's see where it started out on Wednesday. It is down like 14% in the last 2 days on the news that they are basically going to be spending $200 billion to build out AI because they have such demand for it. Make it make sense for me, please. Microsoft was up 1.9%, NVIDIA was up 7.87%, Tesla was up 3.5%, EOS was up 9.13%, and New AI was down 2.88% there. So overall, a really, really good day and a nice bounce from what we have seen here, obviously play out this past week. Okay, so there's that. Let's see here. Bitcoin right now for the month of February is down 9.55%, so better than where we were yesterday, obviously being down 18% or something like that. We're still in the red, though, on the month. We'll see if we can squeak out a green month after all. Bitcoin ETF inflows, outflows. We had inflows of 99.1 million here without BlackRock reporting, and we'll see how that plays out. Next, the good news stories that we do have here is from Ash Crypto here. Insane Bitcoin pumped over 11,000 24 hours, posting its biggest daily gain in history. Right, so that is quite a feat there. That's a lot. 11,000 swing there in a day. That's fantastic to see. So obviously a great bounce. And then we have this. It's time once again for Bitcoin's 2-week RSI channel. Green circles equals peak over sold bottoms. Red arrows equals max potential energy at business cycle lows. Interesting pairing we have here. Only seen once before, and you can see that here. Right, you had that back in 2020. And we're seeing the same thing right now where we could have a nice rally here going forward. Time will only tell if that's going to be the case. Next here, we got everybody shows the Bitcoin power law. Nobody shows what it actually predicts. At 41% from fair value, every single time Bitcoin has been in this zone, the 1 year forward return was positive 100% win rate plus 109 median. So this could be a really good setup for us here going forward, right? Time will tell. Also this, Jimmy Dimon, CEO of Chase, goes on national TV and said, crypto is better than the current financial system. The experiment phase is over. This is the pivot of the century. I mean, wow. I'll just say wow on that, because I would have never thought that he would say that after all these years of him bashing crypto and Bitcoin and all that. I did not have that on my bingo card. Next here, are you ready for the pump here? So Dr. Whale is comparing the 2020 cycle here from August basically through middle of September here, where we had a similar setup like we do here in 2026 from basically, what is that, from March to basically, where is that at? I'm not sure. I can't really read that timing, but he's comparing it and saying that we could possibly see something like this happen out where we have then a huge move upwards in it. Maybe, maybe not, right? But it's something to think about. Maybe this is a similar setup. We don't know. It does look kind of similar in that regard. Will it play out the same way? Nobody knows. We'll obviously talk about it when it does. Next year, 10 trillion, Charles Schwab, CEO, says it's launching Bitcoin buying this year. Wall Street is moving full steam ahead, along with obviously the banks once they get the Clarity Act and all that stuff. And this is from BitPain here. Everyone thinks we are at the red, but we are at the green here. So he's talking about where everybody thinks that we are here, basically going down into a major bear market here. He's saying that we are right now in the green here, which is right there. So we've had the yellow right there. The green is what we're having right here, and then we're going to go up from there. How high will we go? Nobody knows, but that would be a nice setup there. And then this is from Ben here. Jensen today, zero BS. Watch this. Largest infrastructure build out in history. GPUs aging like fine wine. 6-year-old chips appreciating, which I saw that interview there, and he did state that. 100% deployed, zero dark capacity. Software now uses tools. US must win all 5 AI layers. This isn't a bubble. The gold mine is just opening here. And that was Jensen Huang talking about it as well. So yeah, all that fun that we had in the past where people were talking about, oh, these GPUs can, run for 3 years before they basically make nothing for you. Well, that's complete BS. That has just been debunked by not only by Jensen Huang, by Google and others, as well as their GPU stack or TPUs are still, running at 6 years plus. So that was complete BS. That was FUD. Black Panther Capital here. IREN was down 18% post earnings. Bernstein just raised their price target to $125, 214% upside from $39. The market punished them for not announcing a new deal. But okay, yeah, we didn't get a new deal. Not a big deal, I guess. We know a deal is going to be coming down the road. It doesn't really matter that much, right? Here's why this is massive overreaction. BTC is being phased out. You don't judge a company mid-transition by revenue stream they're exiting. What actually matters, IREN now controls 4.5 gigawatts of grid-secured power, which is true. Only 10% of that is contracted. I would say even less than that, I think, now. From what they have, it's probably less. That's 90% available capacity for new hyperscaler deals. Bernstein, we believe the new deals are coming when, not if. Obviously, so go through the fundamentals here. The setup, right, currently where it's at, target. The market sold off because they wanted a new deal announcement. Didn't happen, but nothing has really changed with them. They're still executing. They're still growing. All of that stuff is still moving forward there. So that is great to see there as well, because that's kind of valuing in the same area that I'm at a little bit. So they're maybe looking at the same things I'm looking at, and they definitely see that they should be valued much higher from where they are right now. So with that, that would be an easy 3x more or less if they can get to that price point. Lastly here, a couple of 2 things we got to talk about here are the miners, Bitfarms and Terawulf. Well, AI companies now, I guess you could say. Yeah, infrastructure. But Bitfarms announces U.S. redomiciliation plan and intent to rebrand as Keel Infrastructure. At first, when I saw that Keel Infrastructure, I'm like, I don't know if I like that so much, but it's actually kind of grown on me over the day. From this morning when I saw this, I kind of like it. Keel Infrastructure. Short, kind of reminds me of IREN, right? Same thing. IREN was, but it had a much different name. I can't remember. I think it was IREN or IREN, something like that. But obviously, kind of nice Keel Infrastructure. So I'm okay with that. At first, I was a little skeptical, but it grew on me. All right, but today, Bitfarms announced that its board of directors has approved a plan of arrangement under which the company will re-domicile from Canada to the United States, subject to receipt of shareholder, stock exchange, and court approvals. The board of the directors unanimously determined that the U.S. re-domiciliation is the best interest of Bitfarms, and unanimously recommends that shareholders of the company vote in favor of the arrangement. I'm all for this. I think this is a good move from them. CEO Ben Gagnon stated Bitfarms is officially launching the final phase of our pivot to the U.S., positioning us to more effectively execute on significant opportunities we see ahead in HPC/AI infrastructure development. This transition will expand our access to new sources of capital, increase our eligibility for index inclusion, and simplify our story for U.S. investors, among other benefits that we believe support our ability to continue creating value for our shareholders, which I agree, right? When you get in the United States, it opens up the doors a little bit more for you for new money to come in as well, right? Being on indexes, things like that. So it should help them going forward as well. We saw the same thing kind of happen with IREN when they basically re-domiciled in the United States back in, was it last year or was it the year before? 2024, I can't remember now. I know they did it within the last year and a half or something like that. So that did also help them. Upon completion of the U.S. re-domiciliation, the ultimate parent company of Bitfarms will be a corporation formed under the laws of the state of Delaware. It is anticipated that the new parent corporation will operate under the name Keel Infrastructure. So our new name reflects how we think about infrastructure, how we're building this company, how we want to serve our future customers, said Gagnon there. The keel is a structural backbone of the vessel. I didn't know this. This was new to me. The largely unseen but critical foundation that provides stability and converts energy into forward motion. It represents our commitment to becoming an infrastructure partner that enables customers to achieve their goals in the HPC/AI revolution that will continue for years to come. We are no longer a Bitcoin company. We are an infrastructure-first owner and developer for HPC/AI data centers across North America. As we enter the next chapter, our focus is simple. We're building the infrastructure for the compute of the future. So that's great to hear. They still are a Bitcoin company because they're still mining Bitcoin. Until they completely get out of that portion of the business, they are still, slightly a Bitcoin company. They do have legacy, I guess you could say, data centers that are built for Bitcoin mining, but they are transitioning into a infrastructure and compute builder there. To effect the U.S. re-domiciliation, each outstanding common share of Bitfarms will be exchanged for one share of common stock of Keel Infrastructure, pursuant to the agreement. Upon completion of the U.S. re-domiciliation, Keel Infrastructure U.S. common stock is expected to trade on NASDAQ and the Toronto Stock Exchange under the ticker Keel, subject to receipt of all necessary approvals of NASDAQ and TSX there, so that's fine. The U.S. re-domiciliation, that is a tongue twister, re-domiciliation is expected to be completed on or about April 1st of this year, so that's great, subject to obtaining shareholder, obviously, approvals and satisfaction of other conditions precedent. So that's great there. Other interesting news story from them is Macquarie debt facility update. So they completely paid that off here, which if you guys recall, they had at most $300 million available to them. I'm not sure exactly how much they used of it, but they did use a portion of it, but they did repay it here. So on February 5th, Bitfarms provided formal notice to repay in full all amounts outstanding under its $300 million debt facility with Macquarie and Global Markets businesses. Bitfarms originally secured and converted this debt facility to accelerate development at Panther Creek. To date, it has successfully funded our progress towards Notice of Proceed, NTP, including permit applications and securing long lead time items like substations. Sajjana Tamir, CFO of Bitfarms, repaying the Macquarie debt facility is a strategic move that strengthens our balance sheet and grants us the financial flexibility to secure more cost-effective project financing. This is integral as we execute on the secured electrical capacity at Panther Creek site. Our strong liquidity profile enables us to take this step now, ensuring we can allocate resources efficiently to maximize the value of our entire portfolio and continue advancing all of our sites to NTP, Notice to Proceed there. Bitfarms maintains a strong liquidity profile to support this repayment. As of February 5th, the company holds $698 million in net liquidity, comprised mostly of unrestricted cash and some Bitcoin. This strong liquidity position allows for the full retirement of the debt facility while still maintaining ample capital available for ongoing development at the Panther Creek, Washington, and Sharon sites. So that is good there. Let's see. The total amount was drawn on the debt facility stood at $100 million, net $50 million restricted cash under. Okay. So they do go into it here a little bit. So it looks like $100 million was drawn on that roughly. So that's great, right? They got rid of debt. They're rebranding. They're moving into the United States here. domiciling being in the United States. That's all great things here happening for the stock. And we just need them to obviously execute now in their build out in the Washington site and also at Panther Creek, Scrubgrass as well. All of those things need to be done going forward here. And, I think Ben so far, being the CEO of the company now for, what has it been, a year and a half, something like that? He has definitely changed this company to a complete different entity than what it was in the past. I think he's done a lot of great for the company, and I think we'll only see that progress, and I think the stock is going to get rewarded for it as well in time. Right now, obviously, the stock has done pretty good here in the past 6 months or so, getting to what, $6 plus per share. Obviously, it's come back down here recently, just like everything else, but overall, he's done a really good job, I believe. And I was a strong proponent of him becoming the CEO there. So congrats to Ben and team for their so far success, and wish them many, many, many more successes. All right, last here, we got Terawulf here. They're going to be reporting their fourth quarter 2025 financial results. That is going to be happening on Thursday, the February 26th at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The press release detailing the company's financial results will be issued prior to the call on the same day as well. So we got that to look forward to. I would imagine some of these other guys that had the fourth quarters, fiscal year ends ending in December, at the end of December here, will probably start reporting right around that time frame. It always takes a little bit longer to get all of the financial results audited. So that's kind of where I'm expecting some of those, Riot's got a report still, Mawson's got a report, Cypher's got a report as well, Bitfarms has a report. All of these guys should be coming in right around towards the end of the month here as well. So we'll cover it when it does happen at that point. All right. But that is it. That's all I got for you guys. Happy that we had a nice bounce today. Happy that some of you guys are also buying the dip here. I don't know if the dip is done and over with, but all things kind of point to like it is, but we don't control it, right? It still could dip some more here for us. I'm hoping that's not the case. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. All right. That is it. Let's get into Q&A here. So what you guys have to say, we'll call it a day. I'm tired. I don't know about you guys, but it's been an exhausting week here with Bitcoin miners, everything else crashing down on us, and then having this final Friday jubilation happening here, which is kind of nice. All right. Questions. Let's see. What did I miss? There's not many questions here, so it should be pretty easy. Most of those already covered here in the comments before the show started here. All right, John has a question. Seb, I'm close to even on Cypher. Small position. Should I sell and buy more IREN? Thanks. I own both, right? The reason I own both is because both of these guys, Cypher's gotten contracts already. IREN's gotten contracts. Cypher has a lot of megawatts as well that they can build out. They, I think, are doing the right things as well. It's going to be your call on that one, right? I bought more Cypher today, only because my Cypher position isn't as high as my IREN position is. As far as percentage gains, with everything happening here, even with what we saw, IREN go down to, what was it, 30 some odd dollars here. Today at one point, I was still up like 350% on it, almost 400% on it. So that didn't make sense for me to buy more into that one. IREN did come down to about 120% gain on that one. So I'm like, okay, I can still buy into this one. I think there's still more upside here. That's kind of what I did though. But what you do, that's obviously up to you there. Let's see, I believe I already responded to Tej on this one as well. Riot, we don't know yet on that one. They haven't reported. All right. Let's see, John. Yeah, I saw that IREN was mentioned on CNBC again today as the top 3 data center infrastructure provider. That is, again, worldwide exposure. If this runs like Seb mentions, I'll be more than set. Awesome. You and I both there, I think. If we get to 140, even north of that, that will be a nice payday at that point. What else we got here? Rabbi Seb, did you ever hear that some guy by the name of Pena thinks that Epstein and the Mossad paid some brilliant MIT grads? Yeah, that's all BS. I saw something about that. Rob, I wonder why Bitfarms would rename their ticker symbol to Keel, and it sounds like they are going to keel over. I didn't think about it that way, but when you make it out, when you point that out, keel over, yeah. Well, he explained it right. Keel is part of a ship that's structural part of it. Okay. Benny says, clear manipulation. They brought it down and then rebought it to run it back up. That is just part of the game. I'm with you on that. I have the same kind of feeling on it. Bethany says, I bought Bitfarms and IREN today. Very nice. Bethany, do you think Cypher can hit 30 end of year? I do. If they can get some more contracts signed, I think they can. Bitfarms hit 4 or 5 end of year. Yeah, I think so as well. IREN hit 100 by the end of the year. We get a contract signed, right? We get them close to getting that 3.4 billion annual, what is it, ARR, annual run rate, right? If they get to 3.4 billion annual run rate, yeah, we can definitely see them getting at $100, I would believe, at that point. NG says, I bought more Bitfarms position under 101,000 shares, total amounting to 50,000 shares at $2 average. Was thinking to add more at $70 levels, but bought before the major drop. Okay, nicely done there. Does this mean that Bitfarms has a deal coming since they closed the Macquarie loan? I don't know if we can read that far into it. I think they just want to have a nice clean balance sheet when they go in, being redomiciled in the United States for investors and things like that. They might be looking to maybe get some convertible notes, something like that. Maybe that's the path they're going for. All right. But he said Bitfarms might get a deal soon, 2 to 3 months. I would say maybe. You just never know, right? We don't know what's going on there. That'd be great, though. NG says, have you read AWS earnings report? They are pouring $200 billion this year into AI infrastructure. Does this mean good news for Bitfarms? It could mean good news for Bitfarms, for IREN, for Cypher, for Cleanspark. It could mean good news for any of these guys. All of these guys have megawatts available this year. But yeah, I did read the reports there. I mean, it was a great report, great earnings, everything else. I mean, beat on everything. But they just mentioned, yeah, we're going to increase our spending to $200 billion from, I think it was $143 billion or something like that. And the market's like, wah, we don't want that. We want you guys to buy your stocks back or something like that. Yeah, that was just overreaction on that one. Benny says Google Keel. It's a nice name, Google Keel. Or if you Google Keel, yeah. Let's see. Benny, government controls the market. If you don't believe it, believe in that, I don't know what to tell you. Okay. NG Bitfarm deals with AWS will make them run to 10 plus, possibly there. They do have somebody on the board, or I think somebody on the board, right? Somebody on the board that was part of Amazon. So they might have some context there that might be able to help them out as well. NG, but then again, is that over CapEx on AI is really a bubble? But then again, is that over CapEx? You mean like how much they're spending on CapEx on all these companies? Is that a bubble? Why? Why if you have so much demand for, right? It'd be one thing if you didn't have the demand for it and you were just like, I'm just going to try this out, because that's a hype thing to do. It's a cool thing to do. But they're not doing that. They're doing it because they have such demand for it from customers. So it's customer-driven demand more so than just hype-driven. I think that's why I don't really see it as a bubble right now. All right. Adam says, Keel, how ridiculous. There's a meaning to it behind it, right? They've laid it out in the press release there. Okay, up to all your guys' questions here. It's late. It's 11:13 right now. I'm tired from walking around all these shops with my wife this afternoon. My feet are actually killing me. I don't like shopping. I actually hate shopping, but I love my wife, so I went with her to make my wife happy, right? Happy wife, happy life, as they say. Benny says, Trump is almost 80. This guy works like he's 50. Yeah, I will give him that. Yep. The NG. Then why does everyone saying that it is a bubble on the AI race? Because that's FUD, right? It was the same thing as far as the GPUs only lasting or being profitable for like two to 3 years, right? And after that, they're no longer profitable. That was FUD. We had the FUD also on. What was the other one that was in there? It was a bubble basically. There's something else on it. I'm drawing a blank on it right now, but there was a couple other things that were basically FUD on AI, and I think it was just used to bring the prices down on these things. Right? We had. I'm drawing a blank on things right now because I'm tired. But there was other things. You guys can look back at those things as well. Let's see. And she says, hey, Seb. Hey, thanks, Seb, for answering the questions. Needed the support. You're very welcome, and thanks so much for coming in. Angie, have a great night. Rest, bud. Thank you, you two, and everyone else. Thank you all so much for coming in. especially when things are not going our way, things are down, and everybody's panicking. Really appreciate you guys coming in at that point also. It would have been a kind of boring space with me here doing it by myself. So thank you to everyone here. I greatly appreciate all of you. Love you all. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and hopefully we have bottomed out here in Bitcoin, and hopefully the miners start going back up as well for us here, and we get some nice new deals into the coming months here. All right, I will see you all back on Sunday. We'll get back into the swing of things. It might be a late Sunday show again, only because we have the Super Bowl going on. I'm going to be watching that. I also have the company where I work full time. We're doing the squares, so I have a little bit in that. So I'm hoping I win on that one. But overall, I'll see you guys Sunday. Have a great weekend.